All right, the next video I'm going to do is numbers 8 through 11. So number 8 actually has 3 parts to it. They're all individual problems of their own, but they have the same directions. So use less than, greater than, or equal to compare the measurements. And if you notice, I went ahead and used my conversion ladder for metric systems up here. Remember that you have yours in your notes, but I also wrote it over here at the top of my paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is I need to get them into the same unit. So I can either go milliliters to liters or I can go liters to milliliters. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. I'm going to go to both of them are in liters. So I'm going to start with 1.25 milliliters and I'm going to liters. So I'm going to move my decimal place 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 places to the left, put in my zeros, and I know that 0.00125 is the liters, is the exact same thing as 1.25 milliliters. And I'm going to compare that to 0.0125 liters. Now, when we're comparing decimals, remember that we just start and we compare place value by place value. So 0 in the ones place, 0 in the ones place. Decimals are the same. 0 in the tenths place is the same. The hundredths place is where we actually start comparing. So 0 compared to 1. Obviously 0 is less than 1. So my answer is less than. The next one we're going to do is not metric. It's actually the customary system. So, it is partially metric, and it's also partially the customary system. So we have to have a conversion factor, and actually I gave you that to the side. 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So for every inch that I have, it's 2.54 centimeters. So I'm going to multiply 2.54 times 19. When I do that, I'm going to get 48.26. Well, obviously you can multiply this out and get the same thing, but 48.26, I'm going to this is centimeters, and I'm going to compare it to 50 centimeters. 50 centimeters obviously is greater than 48.26 centimeters, so the answer is greater than. The last one is actually probably the easiest one. 3,480 milligrams, and I'm going to compare it to 3.5 grams. So I'm going to go back up here to my conversion ladder, and I'm going to put milligrams into grams. So I'm going to move from milligrams to grams. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 places to the left. So right here is where my decimal place is. 1, 2, 3 places to the left. I'm comparing 3.48 and 3.5. I could go ahead and put a placeholder here, and I can tell that the 3's get compared, the decimal places get compared, they're exactly the same. 4 is less than 5. So 3.48 is less than 3.50. You don't even have to have that 0 on the end, but we use it to compare. So we should have less than, greater than, less than. Number 9. Number 9 says, how many feet are in 7.5 miles? Well, actually, this might be the easiest one on here. I told you that about another one, but we know that there are 5,280 feet in 1 mile, but we actually have 7.5 miles. So here's a conversion factor. We're trying to figure out what this one is. How many feet are in 7.5 miles? To get from 1 to 7.5, we multiplied, because remember with ratios, we can only multiply or divide. We multiplied by 7.5. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here. You may use a calculator, but when you do that, you get 39,600 feet. Number 10. Number 10 is asking a couple of different things here, so you've got to be really, really careful on how you read it. Brianna's pet lizard measures 15 centimeters long. Okay, so lizard, 15 centimeters. Her goldfish measures 127 millimeters long. Goldfish, 127 millimeters. So I've either got to put centimeters into millimeters or I've got to put millimeters into centimeters. I'm going to put centimeters into millimeters. So I know that I'm going from centimeters to millimeters, I'm going to move one place to the right. So I'm going to have my 15 centimeters is the same thing as 150 millimeters. So 150 millimeters is obviously more than 127 millimeters. So the lizard is the larger of the two. Brianna's lizard is longer. But then we've got to figure out how many centimeters longer. So right now this is in millimeters. That means I've got to put both of these back into centimeters to compare. So if I'm moving from millimeters to centimeters, I'm going to move my decimal one place to the left. I'm going to go back to this one. So that's 15 centimeters. Whoops, that was kind of a weird M. That's a really weird M, but you get it. Okay, 15 centimeters is the comparison. We're going to compare to 12.7 centimeters. So I'm going to subtract 15 minus 12.7, put my decimal here with my 0. When I do that, I can subtract, and I get 2.3. So my correct answer is Brianna's lizard is longer by 2.3 centimeters. Number 11, I set it up for you already. My biggest suggestion to you is whenever you're taking your test, you actually do use this so that you can see how to set it up. You have this in your notes. These are additional notes. Trenton's scouting group made 100 t-shirts for a charity fundraiser. The circle graph below compares how many of each different colored t-shirt they made. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, we need to figure out what are we actually looking for. If the angle measure of the section for purple is 54 degrees, how many purple t-shirts did Trenton's scouting group make? Well, so we're looking at purple. We know that it's 54 degrees out of the 360 degrees. We know that there are a total of 100. So you could do this in a couple of different ways. You could say, well, how did I get from 360 to 54? And then you could do the same thing with the 100. This is what I chose to do. I chose to say, how did I get from 360 to 100? I divided by 3.6 because I know that if I'm trying to get down to 100, if I'm moving, I'm going to divide by 100. So I'm going to move my decimal place 2 places to the left, so I get 3.6. So I'm going to take 360 divided by 3.6 is 100. I'm going to do the same thing up here. 54 divided by 3.6, and I actually did that on the calculator, but you could do it on paper. 54 divided by 3.6. Move my decimal one place to the right because I'm multiplying by 10. When I do that, I get 15 is my answer on that one. So the correct answer for purple t-shirts is 15 t-shirts.